They aren't Britain, British, French, Swedes, Swiss, Belgian. We don't do bloody, gory operations in the countries of Europe. These are all people of the third world. They're people of countries like the Congo, Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia, Nicaragua, where conspicuously they or their governments do not have the capability of doing any physical hurt to the United States. They don't have ICBMs. They don't have armies or navies. They could not hurt us if they wanted to. There has rarely been any evidence that they really wanted to. And that, in fact, is perhaps the whole point. If they had had ICBMs, we probably wouldn't have done the things to them for fear of retaliation. Cheap shots, if you will, killing people of other countries of the world who cannot defend themselves under the guise of secrecy and under the rubric of national security.
Well, that statement actually says a lot about what we're going through as targets of the federal government under state secrets laws, of things that cannot be exposed, not having the ability to fight these criminals or any of such. So that is one. Here's another one that I'd like to play for you. This is one that I have played in the past. I think it's very important for people to understand that, there has been foreknowledge of these crimes. These crimes have taken place over and over and over again. They have gone out of their way to cover up the scenarios of murder and drug dealing and all this kind of thing. So it's very, very important that people wake up and understand that if it's not you today, it could be you tomorrow, and very possible. I mean, this is something that many thousands of witness testimony has brought out, and it's not going to go away. It's only getting worse here, and I think we've seen a lot of that, very frequently and very recent. I think that this type of activity is taking place, and it's taking place with great frequency. It's really a serious issue, and I hope that more people will become involved and get the information out there, be it put it on a website, broadcast it, put it on anything that you can, flyers, whatever you find necessary, because, ladies and gentlemen, these crimes are real. And we are here to tell you that these crimes are real and use examples as a tool to help people do just that. There are many people out there doing what we're doing, and we hope that we can contribute along with the rest of the people out there that are doing it. So to further this, I'd like to talk a little bit about the operational wing of MK Ultra, which was known as MK Delta. Had its mission to find out how to use chemical and biological ingredients to alter the human mind. Now, dating back in 1952, the CIA initiated yet another program to produce biological weapons called Project MK Naomi, which developed an array of deadly substances for the CIA. From 1950 until the 1970s, according to them, the CIA collaborated closely with the U.S. Army while conducting LSD and other chemical tests on humans. Experiments were conducted in which none of the volunteers gave their informed consent prior to receiving LSD. There was a deliberate attempt to deny the volunteers any information that would have permitted them to evaluate the dangers involved. According to the testimony of Charles L. Shirley, Jr., one of the volunteers believed amongst most of the volunteers was that if they declined to participate in the test, it would have put them in immediate disfavor with their superiors. I guess if you're part of the military, you don't want to have problems with your superiors, especially back in those days. Hallucinogenic-type drug experiments were also conducted by elements of the U.S. Army intelligence community. Most of the related records have been destroyed. A coordinated psychochemical drug project started in November of 1957. The plan was entitled Material Testing, EA-1279, and involved the use of LSD. Experiments were conducted on groups of volunteers to evaluate their ability to lie whilst under the influence of LSD. There were also memory impairment tests to assess the effects of LSD had on memory using various National Institute of Mental Health hospitals and facilities. Again, these facilities, a lot of them, are still in use, and some of the same ones. This is privatized. This is something that is covered up through channels, through government channels, through psychiatric, medical, and all of those types of channels. And this is how they hide this information, and then they destroy the records like they did back in MK Ultra days. Dr. Harris Isabel ran an addiction research center using LSD and a host of unproven drugs. Can you imagine that? An addiction research center, and they're getting people addicted. Particularly appalling was Dr. Isabel's tendency to target black and gay inmates for the experimentation. So here they have the admission that they're targeting people in prisons and inmates. A field test plan called for the use of LSD on foreign nationals overseas. The Surgeon General offered no medical objections to the field experimental plan. I mean, here's the Surgeon General. There is no contemplation of the Constitution and our laws according to these criminals, ladies and gentlemen. There is no one to come and arrest them, no one to prosecute them. They are in complete secrecy and complete protection by this criminal government. Further, subjects for the proposed field test were to be non-volunteer foreign nationals. It is clear that from the start to finish, the project violated Department of Defense and Department of Army policies, as well as specific procedures set for chemical or medical research. In 1953, Dr. Frank Olson, a scientist working for the CIA, was found dead on the pavement outside a New York hotel. The CIA quickly actioned to cover up the circumstances surrounding his death. The whole cause remained shrouded in mystery until 1975, when it was revealed that Olson had been one of many unwitting given LSD. He had been part of the agency's experiments with the drug, and LSD had allegedly been a contributory factor in his suicide. The Rockefeller Commission condemned the CIA's cover-up and granted Mr. Olson an apology and $750,000. I'll tell you something. The Rockefeller Foundation has been complicit in these crimes for a long time. They have helped sponsor from the very beginning these projects, and that will be brought out probably at another time when we have another show. The Nuremberg trials revealed the extent of Nazi Germany's mind control experimentation on Jewish concentration camp prisoners, as well as prisoners of war. As a result of the trials, 23 German doctors were convicted, and an injunction was brought to the effect that humans should never be used in such a fashion again. On the contrary, such trials only serve to attract interest of the Western intelligence agencies, inspiring them to research and develop methods of controlling and altering the human mind. Imagine that. On December 7, 1993, Secretary of Energy Hazel O'Leary ordered her department to open classified files covering projects that had invoked the use of human beings as guinea pigs since the war. A major project was initiated to identify relevant documents. The index itself runs to 150 pages. In some instances, victims were chosen from hospital patients. Between 1953 and 57, William Sweet and his associates at Massachusetts General in Boston injected at least 11 terminally ill cancer patients with uranium-235. In the 40s, pregnant women were given cocktails of radioactive material in order to study their effects on the fetus. The Department of Health conducted tests that involved feeding more than 800 pregnant women a cocktail laced with radioactive iron isotope. All the records were destroyed in 1970. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the type of criminal government that we had then, and this is the criminal government that we have now.